First contact and resistance. The void between stars shimmered as the Corax warship Eternal Hunger tore through the fabric of space. Its hull, composed of living metal that constantly shifted and realigned, resembled the exoskeleton of a predatory insect scaled to monstrous proportions. On the command deck, Supreme Hunter Vorax stood with his 4 arms crossed over his armored chest, 6 compound eyes surveying the holographic display of the insignificant star system they had just entered. Another hunting ground, Vorax rumbled, voice resonating through multiple vocal chambers. His mandibles clicked in anticipation. How many species have we added to our collection now, First Hunter? First Hunter, Krivax consulted the ship's memory core. 23 complete subjugations, Supreme Hunter. None have resisted beyond the 3rd engagement. The Corax had evolved on a death world where only the most perfect killers survived. Over millions of years, they had refined their biology into the ultimate expression of predatory evolution. Enhanced strength, reinforced carapaces that could withstand vacuum, sensory organs that could detect prey across vast distances, and a neurological structure optimized for combat. When they achieved space travel, they had simply expanded their hunting territory to the stars. The 3rd planet shows signs of technological civilization, reported Sensor Master Ixar, primitive energy signatures, artificial satellites, atmospheric modification, classification, emerging spacefaring. Vorax's mandibles clicked faster, the Corax equivalent of a smile. Perfect. They will offer just enough resistance to make the hunt interesting. Deploy scout vessels and locate a suitable first target. 3 days later, the Corax scout ships discovered the Perseus research station orbiting Jupiter, an isolated outpost with 47 humans studying the gas giant's atmospheric phenomena. The perfect test of this new prey's capabilities. Dr. Elena Vasquez was reviewing atmospheric data when the station's alarms blared. Unidentified vessels approaching, announced the station eye. Configuration unknown. Not responding to hails. Station Security Chief Marcus Chen rushed to the command center, bringing defense systems online. 3 ships, biomechanical construction, weapons hot. They're not here for conversation. Alert Earth, Dr. Vasquez ordered. Begin emergency protocols. The first Corax boarding craft attached to the station's outer hull, burning through the metal with corrosive secretions. Hunt leader Tazrak led his warriors into the station, their bodies adapted for combat in low gravity. Spread out, he ordered. Capture specimens. Kill resistance. What happened next would forever change how the Corax viewed prey species. As the Corax breached the first airlock, they were met not with panic or disorganized resistance, but with a station suddenly plunged into darkness. The humans had cut power to that section, neutralizing the Corax's superior vision, which relied on detecting electromagnetic fields. Primitive tactic, Tazrak hissed. Switched to chemical sensing. But the humans had anticipated this too. The station's fire suppression system activated, flooding the corridors with a specialized foam developed for chemical fires on space stations. To humans, it was harmless. To the Corax, whose chemical receptors were thousands of times more sensitive, it was like being blinded and deafened simultaneously. In the confusion, station security personnel wearing exosuits designed for external repairs ambushed the Corax warriors. The suits weren't designed for combat, but they provided enough protection against the Corax's natural weapons to give the humans a fighting chance. Fall back to Junction 7, Chen ordered over comms. Dr. Parsons, are the modifications to the maintenance drones ready? Online now, replied the station's robotics expert. Deploying. The station's maintenance drones, normally used for external hull repairs, had been hastily reprogrammed. They swarmed the Corax from multiple directions, not as weapons, but as distractions, interfering with the aliens' movement and sensory abilities. Hunt leader Tazrak, fighting through the chaos, couldn't understand what was happening. These creatures were physically weaker, technologically inferior, and had no natural weapons. Yet they were coordinating with remarkable efficiency, repurposing their environment and technology in ways the Corax had never witnessed. Supreme Hunter, Tazrock transmitted to the Eternal Hunger. The prey is unusual. Request reinforcements. On the station, Dr. Vasquez was coordinating the evacuation. Data package is transmitting to Earth. Everyone to the escape pods. The aliens are regrouping, Chen reported. They're adapting to our countermeasures. Vasquez nodded grimly. Time for the final protocol then. As the last escape pod detached from the station, the Corax warriors broke through to the central hub, expecting to find cowering prey. Instead, they found an empty command center and blinking lights on what they didn't recognize as explosive devices. The Perseus station detonated in a controlled series of explosions, destroying the attached Corax vessels and damaging a fourth that had arrived as reinforcement. From the escape pods, the survivors watched the destruction of their research home. Did we get everything transmitted? Chen asked. Vasquez nodded. Every scan, every observation, every tactic they used. Earth will know what we're facing. On the Eternal Hunger, Supreme Hunter Vorax received the report with the closest emotion a Corax could feel to shock. They destroy their own habitat rather than be captured. Yes, Supreme Hunter, First Hunter Krivax confirmed. And before doing so, they transmitted large data packets toward their homeworld. Vorax's compound eyes narrowed. They sacrificed themselves to provide intelligence to their hive. This was not prey behavior. This was something different. Prepare the invasion fleet, he ordered. These humans require my personal attention. As the Corax gathered their forces, humanity prepared. The data from Perseus Station provided crucial insights into Corax biology, tactics, and technology. Earth's governments united under existential threat, pooling resources and setting aside conflicts. Admiral Helena Wu, commander of Earth's newly formed defense fleet, addressed the United Earth Council. We cannot match the Corax in numbers or raw firepower, but Perseus Station showed us that we don't have to. We'll fight them asymmetrically, using their strengths against them. Scientists worked around the clock analyzing the Corax biological data, looking for weaknesses. Military strategists developed unconventional tactics. Every factory on Earth was converted to produce defensive systems and weapons designed specifically to counter Corax advantages. And all the while, the Corax invasion fleet approached, led by the Eternal Hunger, bringing with them a confidence born from never having known defeat. They were about to learn that humans were predators too, in their own unique way. He counterattack. 3 months after the Perseus Station incident, Earth's orbital detection grid registered multiple space-time distortions at the edge of the solar system. The Corax invasion fleet had arrived. Over 200 biomechanical warships surrounding the massive Eternal Hunger. All Earth Defense Force vessels maintained formation. Admiral Wu ordered from the bridge of the EDF Defiance. Earth's hastily assembled fleet was vastly outnumbered, with only 67 military vessels plus converted civilian ships. But numbers had never been humanity's advantage. Status of Project Lighthouse? Wu asked. Ready for deployment, Admiral, responded her tactical officer. On the Eternal Hunger, Supreme Hunter Vorax surveyed the human defenses with contempt. Such a small defensive force, he noted. They must realize resistance is futile. Supreme Hunter, First Hunter, Krivax cautioned. The data from the station assault suggests these creatures are unusually adaptive. Vorax's mandibles clicked dismissively. Adaptation requires time. We will give them none. Begin the attack. The Corax fleet surged forward in perfect predatory formation, their weapons charging. The standard Corax tactic was overwhelming force, a shock and awe approach that had broken the will of 23 other species. What they didn't expect was that humans had been studying those very tactics for months. As the Corax closed to firing range, Admiral Wu gave the order, initiate Project Lighthouse. Across the human fleet, ships began releasing thousands of small satellites that quickly formed a grid throughout the battle space. The Corax ignored them, focusing on the larger human vessels. First wave, fire, ordered Krivax. Devastating energy beams lanced out from the Corax warships, only to pass harmlessly through empty space as the human vessels suddenly disappeared from their sensors. "What is happening?" Vorax demanded. "Sensor interference," reported a confused Corax officer. "We cannot distinguish between real ships and false signatures." Project Lighthouse was a network of quantum holographic projectors developed by combining existing human technology with insights gleaned from the Perseus station data. Each projector created multiple phantom vessels while simultaneously masking the real ship's signatures. In the confusion, Earth's fleet executed a complex maneuver, breaking formation and attacking from multiple vectors simultaneously. Smaller, faster human ships darted between the massive Corax vessels, targeting propulsion systems and sensory arrays with precision strikes. "Switch to visual targeting only," Vorax commanded, his composure slipping. But visual targeting required closer range, and getting closer meant navigating through the swarm of agile human fighters. But the humans had yet another surprise waiting. "Deploy Banshee devices," ordered Admiral Wu. From several Earth ships, specialized pods launched toward the largest Corax vessels. As they approached, they activated, emitting a precisely tuned electromagnetic frequency discovered through analysis of the Corax biological data, a frequency that resonated with the Corax's unique nervous system. On the Corax ships, warriors suddenly clutched their heads in agony as the Banshee devices targeted their enhanced sensory organs. Their evolutionary advantages, acute electromagnetic perception, chemical sensing, and neural reaction speed, became debilitating weaknesses. Vorax staggered on the command deck, fighting through the disorientation. "How?" he growled. "How did they know?" Dr. Maya Okafor, Earth's leading xenobiologist, watched the battle unfold from the scientific vessel EDF Discovery. "The Banshee frequency is working exactly as predicted," she confirmed, studying the readings. "Their neural activity is disrupting as we hypothesized. While the Corax possessed overwhelming physical superiority, their heightened senses made them vulnerable to specific stimuli. The human scientists had weaponized this knowledge, turning the Predator's evolutionary advantages against them. Yet despite these successes, the battle was far from won. The Corax fleet still outnumbered Earth's forces, and the aliens were beginning to adapt, modifying their sensory equipment to filter out the Banshee frequencies. "We need to strike at their command structure," Admiral Wu determined. "Is the infiltration team ready?" Lieutenant Commander Rice's team is prepared for deployment aboard a stealth shuttle, her executive officer confirmed. Lieutenant Commander Sophia Rice and her team of 6 specialized operatives prepared for what might be a suicide mission. Their objective: infiltrate the Eternal Hunger and deploy a tailored bioweapon directly into the Corax command structure. "Final equipment check," Rice ordered, her voice steady. The team verified their experimental stealth suits, designed to mask both visual and thermal signatures, technology developed specifically to counter Corax sensory capabilities. The shuttle accelerated toward the massive Corax flagship, taking advantage of the chaos of battle to approach undetected. Using a cutting laser, they created an entry point near what intelligence suggested was an auxiliary maintenance bay. Once inside, Rice activated her tactical display. "Remember, our target is the central atmospheric control system. Plant the device and evacuate. If you're discovered, Protocol Omega is authorized." Protocol Omega, a neural toxin specifically designed to target Corax nervous systems without affecting humans, a last resort. As the infiltration team made their way through the biological mechanical corridors of the alien flagship, the space battle outside reached its climax. Human ships, though taking heavy losses, continued to disrupt the Corax fleet's coordination through electronic warfare and targeted strikes against command and control nodes. On the Eternal Hunger's command deck, Vorax was losing control of the situation for the first time in his long career of conquest. "The prey is dictating the terms of engagement," he snarled in frustration. This is not possible. Supreme Hunter, First Hunter Krivax reported urgently, "We're detecting intruders aboard. They're approaching the central circulation system." Vorax's compound eyes widened in alarm. "Seal all internal bulkheads. Deploy warriors to intercept." But the human infiltrators had studied the Corax ship layouts extracted from Perseus station data. They moved through maintenance shafts and secondary corridors, avoiding the main passageways where Corax warriors converge. Commander Rise reached the central atmospheric control junction, the heart of the ship's life support system that circulated air to all sections of the massive vessel. Deploying the package, she reported as her team established a perimeter. From a specialized container, she removed what appeared to be a simple canister. It contained billions of engineered microorganisms designed to target the Corax neural system. Not lethal, but incapacitating. As she prepared to connect it to the circulation system, the bulkhead door exploded inward. Supreme Hunter Vorax himself stood in the opening, his massive frame radiating fury and strength. Behind him, a dozen elite Corax warriors formed a lethal phalanx. "So this is what prey becomes when it forgets its place," Vorax hissed, advancing toward Reyes. "You fought well, human, but the natural order cannot be denied." Reyes stood her ground, despite the overwhelming biological terror the Corax Supreme Hunter projected. "That's where you're wrong," she replied calmly. "Humans were never prey." She activated the canister, releasing the microorganisms directly into the air. Then, in one smooth motion, she drew her sidearm and fired, not at Vorax, but at the ship's atmospheric regulator behind him. The shot ruptured the regulator, creating a powerful air current that rapidly dispersed the engineered microorganisms throughout the ship's circulation system. Vorax lunged forward with preternatural speed, his claws extended for a killing blow, then stumbled as the microorganisms began affecting his nervous system. Around him, his warriors collapsed, their hyper-efficient neural networks overwhelmed by the human bioweapon. What have you done?" Vorax struggled to remain standing, his multiple limbs trembling. "Exactly what you feared," Rice said. "We adapted. We turned your strengths into weaknesses." She activated her comms unit. "Admiral Wu, package delivered. Requesting extraction." Across the Corax fleet, as the microorganisms spread through shuttlecraft and short-range transmissions, warriors and commanders fell into neural paralysis. Ships drifted, weapons went offline, and coordinated resistance collapsed. In the aftermath, as Earth's fleet secured the disabled Corax vessels, Admiral Wu boarded the Eternal Hunger to confront the paralyzed Supreme Hunter. "You could have attempted communication," Wu told Vorax. "You could have offered trade or alliance. Instead, you saw only prey." The Corax commander, temporarily able to speak through the effects of the paralyzing agent, looked up at her with a new emotion in his compound eyes. "Respect. We have conquered 23 worlds," he said. "None fought as you did. None turned our strengths against us. Remember that," Wu replied, "when the paralysis wears off. Remember that humans are not prey. We are not predators either, not in your sense. We are something you've never encountered before." "What are you then?" Vorax asked. Admiral Wu considered this for a moment. "Survivors," she finally answered. "Adapters. We evolved not as the perfect killing machine, but as the perfect learning machine. And today, you became our teacher." 3 months later, representatives from Earth met with the Corax Hunting Council to negotiate terms. For the first time in their evolutionary history, the Corax agreed to recognize another species as equals rather than prey. It was not the natural order they had known for millions of years, but they had learned a valuable lesson that would forever change their civilization. The universe's apex predators had finally met a species that refused to be hunted, and in doing so, both had taken the first steps toward something neither had experienced before: coexistence. Throughout the galaxy, news spread of how humanity had defeated the undefeatable Corax. Other species, long subjugated or hiding from the predatory empire, looked to Earth with new hope. And humans, ever adaptive, prepared for their new role on the galactic stage, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as teachers of a different way. The hunt was over. The conversation had begun.